Hello and welcome to another video. So if you're new here and you don't know, I usually make videos and I have been making videos so far for 2 books in the Stormlight Archive where I, instead of just reading them, I read every chapter and record a summary and my reaction of the chapter on my YouTube channel. So I've done it for Words of Radiance and Edge Dancer, and now I'm going to get into Oathbringer. So hopefully you'll come on this journey with me and you'll enjoy it just as much as I do. So let's get straight into the prologue. In the prologue, we're with Ashonai 6 years ago when Ashonai first meets the human. In this meeting, the Parshendi meet the Parshmen and they see how the humans have enslaved them. Then we move forward to when King Gavilar is having a meeting where he invites Ashonai to give her a message to send to the Five. And he tells Ashonai that he wants to bring back the gods who have been encased the way that Spren have been encased in Fabrials. And he wants to bring them back so that humans can return to their previous state of the Radiance and the Parshendi can return to their previous states, which he says is better. So with this information that Ashonai gives to the Five and Ashonai decide that they want to assassinate King Gavilar, which we know happens. So I thought it was pretty funny how in assassinating King Gavilar for wanting to do what he wanted to do, they kind of brought about the world that he was seeking anyway. In the first chapter, we're with Dalinar, and Dalinar, who's been bonded to the Stormfather himself, has now got the ability to replay his old visions. So he's looking at the first vision he got, which was of Kholinar completely destroyed, and he looks closer to the destruction and sees that there's claw marks on the building, which he concludes was from the rock monster that we read about in the last book, which is a creature that kind of came out of the ground made of the earth, like a huge creature, and he thinks that's what's caused the destruction. At the end, Dalinar sees a vision of the enemy's champion. It's a person with red eyes and black shard plate that has 9 shadows, and those 9 shadows are the unmade, terrible Spren that have the abilities to twist the minds of men. So after Dalinar wakes up, he talks to Navani and he tells her that he knows what they have to do, and that is to unite all the humans before the Voidbringers destroy everything. But then right at the end of the chapter, somebody comes to Dalinar and tells him that they found a corpse, that Sadeas has been murdered. Something I noticed that I've been noticing a lot in this book is that there's a lot of references to the number 10. So there's 10 kingdoms, 10 orders of the Knights Radiant, and so on. And here they mention 9 Spren, which are part of the Unmade. But then I realised that there's also Odium, who's the enemy, the main enemy, who's the one who killed the Almighty. He could be the 10th Spren that's part of the 9 Unmade Spren. In chapter 2, Dalinar finds the body of Sadeas, and at first they're kind of scared because it's going to make Dalinar look bad, because Adalinar hasn't confessed that he was the one who did it, so they don't know who actually did it. But overall they're kind of relieved that they don't have to kind of worry about him anymore. But yeah, so after this, Dalinar appoints Aladar as the new High Prince of Information, and he makes Sabarial the High Prince of Commerce, and he wants Sabarial to kind of transform Urutheru into a working city. He then goes to Adolin and tells him to be in charge of the armies, and he says to Renarin and Shallan that they have to practice their abilities. They're going to have to train the other Radiants when they come to them. So Dalinar is now getting ready to try and unite, not just before he just wanted to unite the High Princes, but now he's going to try to unite the entire continent. Every person that's not a Voidbringer that lives on this world, he's going to try to unite them against the Voidbringers, the Unmade, and Odium. Hey guys, so before I get into the next chapter, I just realized that this video is going to take a lot longer to release than I thought it would, and that's kind of because I've kind of been busy lately with my job, which I'm going to have to be at for a lot longer than I was before. And also I've got like another job coming out as well, so I'm going to have 2 jobs and one of them is going to be really long. And I would prefer to just sit here and read and talk to you about it, and other stuff that I'd probably prefer to do, but it is what it is. And yeah, I mean, I don't mind one of them. In that one I can actually sometimes get some free time and just write and stuff. But yeah, so in chapter 3 we have the first flashback of the book, which is from Dalinar. So it's 34 years ago, so it's definitely further back than any of the other flashbacks we've had so far. And we see Dalinar like as the Blackthorn, which we all knew him to be. Actually, no, I don't know if it's him when he's literally the Blackthorn or if it's just before that, because he's pretty young in this. I think he's in his late teens, so maybe it's before he has the reputation that he gets. So he's fighting a battle against a High Prince who's against Gavilar, his brother, being king. At the end, Dalinar kills the High Prince, and then Dalinar is struck by an arrow from an assassin. But since the shot was such an impressive shot by the bowman, Dalinar decides to hire this assassin to work for him instead. So during this battle, we see that Dalinar really enjoys the thrill and he really likes to fight and kill people. I wouldn't say he's evil or anything, but he's definitely not the, like, person focused on honor that we know him to be. In chapter 4, Dalinar's talking to Navani, and there's a bit of a romantic scene, but they discuss how they want to get married, but no Ardents are willing to marry them because of their relationship. During this, Dalinar reveals to Navani that what he did with his memories of his old wife was remove them using old magic. But during this, we also learn a little bit about Dalinar's ex-wife, which is that he married her for a Shardblade, and that she was killed or something during a hostage situation. Navani and Dalinar then talk about how they can get the Stormfather to marry them, and then at the end of this chapter we see the wedding between Dalinar and Navani, where they use the Stormfather as the person who marries them. So during this, it's like a really cool scene of everyone just dressed up for the wedding, and then we see the Stormfather appear and everyone sees him, and it's like a really, I can imagine it being so epic, because we know how vast and huge the Stormfather looks, like a huge face in the sky, and just that, and then picturing that in a wedding, just the idea of this scene was really cool to me. I really like imagining this scene visually. Then right at the end of this chapter, we see one of the Ardents, Kadash, telling Dalinar that the Ardents are against him because Dalinar keeps having these kind of non-traditional views on religion and God, and the things he said about God, like, that God's dead or that the Stormfather is part of God, it doesn't align with what they believe. So the Kadash is telling Dalinar that this isn't good and that the Ardents are going to go against you for saying this. One thing I thought about was how the Ardents are a good representation of organized religion in our world, where truth, even if it doesn't go against the core beliefs of a religion, is not as important as meaningless tradition to them. Chapter 5, we're with Kaladin again, and he attempted to try to reach his hometown before the Everstorm came, but he was too late, and when he arrived, everything was destroyed. And then in chapter 6, which is straight after that chapter, we see Kaladin going to Roshan's palace, where all the townspeople were kept. So he finally meets his mum and dad, which was an extremely emotional scene, and it really got to me, this scene did, because I feel like even though we didn't see much of his parents as characters in the previous book, or even in the first book that much, it does feel like it's been, I think it worked enough in the first book to make this scene feel really impactful, I believe. But then we also get Kaladin telling his parents about Tien's death, and the parents don't really mind because they believe both of them are dead, so they were happy that at least one son's alive. The people around the town still don't like Kaladin because they see that his brand on his forehead shows that he's a slave and a deserter, so they don't trust him for that. And then when Roshan sees him, Kaladin kind of punches him in the face for what Roshan did to Moash. So I feel like that's not going to give him a good image either. But I was kind of hoping that Kaladin would just kind of use his powers and shine, and then just show them the power and the authority that he has now, considering he's working with Dalinar. In chapter 7, Cal just looks at the guards, and even without having to show his powers, the guards stand down knowing that he has strength and authority over them. But then later on he talks to Roshan. He tells Roshan to go to a private room so they can chat. And during that conversation, Roshan doesn't believe him, so Cal shows him Syl as the Shardblade, and his eyes turn blue. And then everyone around sees that as well, and it's proof to Roshan that Cal definitely has authority to talk to him. So then, during this conversation, Roshan says that the Voidbringers did come, but that they didn't attack the people in the town. They thought it was too small, it might have been the town might have been too small and not worthy of attacking, so the Voidbringers just gathered and left. Then Kaladin tells Roshan that he's going to have to be in charge of these people and lead them properly, and because Kaladin can't stay there. So then after that, Kaladin speaks to his dad, and during this conversation, his dad kind of shows a bit of disappointment because he's sad that his son's turned into a killer like the other soldiers, which is not what he wanted. And Cal tells him that this is who I am. I'm not a surgeon. I'm not meant to not kill people, but I'm killing people to save others. So after this, his dad's still not really happy about it, but it is what it is. So then Kaladin goes and finds Lawal, the girl who he kind of had a bit of a crush on, I think, when he was younger, who's now married to Roshan. And she says that she's kind of happy with Roshan and that she's fine with where she is, that she doesn't want Kaladin to disrespect Roshan too much either. But then with her, Kaladin uses the span read and he speaks to Navani, and everyone is completely shocked that Navani and Dalinar are speaking to Kaladin. So Dalinar gives them the information about the Parshendi, and then after that Dalinar sees his mum, and when he sees his mum shows him a baby which is about 1 year old, and it's his little brother who's called Oreden. And Kaladin's so shocked by what he sees, he actually starts crying. And it was pretty sad because learning about this, it kind of makes me a bit scared because now there's a lot of other things at stake for Kaladin. So there's a lot more, the more happiness he has, the more danger there is of that happiness going away, I guess. So after this, Kaladin realizes that the people around are kind of a bit scared because during all this time, Kaladin's been talking in kind of public to Dalinar, Navani and his parents about him being a Radiant and the Desolations being here. and the people are scared. So Kaladin gives a speech saying that yes, the Voidbringers have come, but that Dalinar has refounded the Knights Radiant, and him as one of the Knights Radiant is not going to fail them this time. And I think this is the first time that his parents realize that he's a Knights Radiant as well, and they're kind of shocked as well, and everyone's kind of shocked, and his parents start crying. But then Dalinar leaves the town to go after the Parshendi to kill them. At the beginning of chapter 8, we're with Shallan, and Shallan's drawing a tower in Urithiru, and Pan tries to talk to her and is kind of hoping that she's not too mad about the truth that he revealed, that he was the Shardblade that had a part to play in the death of her mother when Shallan killed her. But then Shallan's called to meet with Adolin, Renarin, Navani and Dalinar as they discuss things about the kingdom and how they're going to unite them. So during this, Shallan and Dalinar end up having this weird kind of combined power thing where Shallan lightweaves a 3D map of the entire kingdom, and she says it was thanks to the help of Dalinar and his friend the Stormfather who sees this vision of the map. It's really detailed. It's like it's real, like they're looking at the real life cities. This part I really like because I imagined it like in like loads of sci-fi movies where you see people have these kind of holograms of these, I don't know, maps or anything that you see. And it kind of reminded me of that. And then I started to think that there's actually quite a few times where the visuals in these books are very similar to like visuals we see in like sci-fi movies, which I think is really cool because I don't think I've seen fantasy explored that much. I mean, I've definitely seen it sometimes before, but I really like how Brandon Sanderson adds a lot of kind of sci-fi, traditionally sci-fi imagery in his fantasy world. I think it's really cool. So then they all discuss how they're going to unite the empires, and they're saying that they're going to need to use the Oath Gates to kind of keep the connection between the cities really strong so that each one can help the other one when the desolation comes. So their main topic now is trying to find, I think, the Oath Gates. Then at the end of the chapter, somebody comes in and tells Dalinar that there's been another murder. So in chapter 9, we find out that it was a Light-Eyed officer in Sabariel's camp who was murdered. But he wasn't just murdered, he was murdered in the exact same way and left in the exact same position that Sadeas was left. In, which has got everyone thinking that it's the same killer, which isn't good news for Adolin because he doesn't know what's going on. He killed Sadeas, and now somebody's killing someone else in the same way. So then, ironically, Dalinar puts Adolin in charge of finding out who this serial killer is. But Shallan definitely knows that something's up from the way that Adolin was reacting, because Adolin can't really hide his emotions, and so Shallan knows there's something going on, that there's something that Adolin's hiding. But yes, that's where the chapter ends. And I'm 100 pages into the book now, and it definitely took me a lot longer than I thought I kind of wanted it to take. I was hoping that I'd be able to make these videos a lot quicker, but now because of, like I said before, the jobs, it's kind of taking a long time. Like, it's actually been a long time since I've recorded the last little bit of this video. It's been like 3-4 days. And I don't know, I'm not necessarily happy about how it's going, but like I said before, it is what it is. The good thing is that I think I don't know if I said this before, but the main reason I made these videos or wanted to make these videos is because I felt like the only times I'm ever really happy is when I'm either in like some sort of story, whether I'm reading a book or watching a movie or playing a game, or even if I'm writing my own story. If it's another story that isn't this, or this world or this life, it's much more enjoyable for me. I'm like much happier when I'm thinking or my head's in that place. So in a way, the reason I've made these videos is that I'm documenting my journey through these stories, and I'm documenting these moments where I'm probably the most happy. And I don't know, maybe it's a good thing, because this way the many hours that I wish to forget will be forgotten, but the little slivers of happiness are the ones I'll remember, which doesn't usually happen, but this way maybe it will happen. So yeah, that's the end of this video. I'm going to make this the part 1 to my series, and I might just go through these 100 pages at a time, and hopefully it won't take too long to make them and read the book. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this series, or if you want to see me do more series like this, make sure to subscribe, because I'm going to make videos for the rest of this book. And then I think I might go on to Dune next, because we're going to have a bit of a break between finishing this book and going to Rhythm of War. And then I was thinking I could read Dune in between that, which is mainly because the movie's coming out. And also because I have read Dune before, but I completely forgot about it. I feel like I didn't really immerse myself that much into the book. So I want to get back into it and try to read it. And then maybe watch the original movie in preparation for the new movie that's coming out. Because I'm kind of excited for it. I don't know exactly how I feel about everything in the trailer. I don't think I was excited as some people are, but most of the people that were really excited have read the book and are excited to see it this way on the screen. But yeah, hopefully I can get into Dune and I'll be excited like everyone else is for that movie. So like the video if you liked it, leave a comment down below on what you thought of the book so far, or what you thought of my reactions or my opinion so far, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.